In the vast, unforgiving expanse of the Andromeda Cluster, where stars burned like distant campfires and nebulae swirled in hues of electric blue and crimson, the fate of entire civilizations hung by a thread. Captain Kai Harlan gripped the controls of his battered fighter ship, the Eclipse Runner Asterisk, sweat beading on his forehead as laser fire streaked past his cockpit. The Zerathian fleet loomed ahead, a colossal armada of sleek, obsidian vessels that gleamed under the artificial glow of their energy shields. At the helm of this unstoppable force was General Lyra Voss, the fierce warrior queen of Zerathia, known across the galaxies for her unyielding command and the way she crushed rebellions with the precision of a supernova. Kai's squadron was outnumbered, outgunned, their Earth Federation allies scattered like debris from a shattered asteroid. But humans had always been the underdogs, the scrappy survivors who turned the tide with ingenuity and sheer audacity. As his ship dodged another barrage, Kai patched into the enemy comms channel, a risky hack he'd pulled off mid-dogfight. Her voice boomed through his speakers first, cold, authoritative, laced with the metallic echo of her alien translator. "Surrender now, human pestilence, or be vaporized. Your primitive fleet is no match for the might of Zerathia." He couldn't help but chuckle, even as his hull rattled from a near miss. There she was on his view screen, transmitted in holographic glory, General Lyra, with her cascading white hair that shimmered like fresh snow under starlight, her pale skin almost luminescent, and those delicate, pointed ears that twitched ever so slightly when she was enraged. She wore a form-fitting suit of iridescent armor, hugging her curvaceous figure in a way that was both regal and distractingly alluring, elegant straps crossing her shoulders, leaving hints of her graceful form exposed to the vacuum's chill. Her eyes, a piercing violet, burned with fury as she glared into the camera, her full lips pressed into a thin line. "You're so cute when you're angry," Kai teased, his voice dripping with that trademark human sarcasm, broadcasted wide for her entire bridge crew to hear. The words hung in the ether, a spark in the powder keg of interstellar tension. For a heartbeat, the universe seemed to pause. Lyra's cheeks flushed a deep crimson, the color spreading like wildfire across her ethereal face. Her crew, stoic Zerathian officers with their own pointed ears and stoic expressions, exchanged baffled glances, their disciplined facade cracking for the first time. The general, the scourge of a dozen systems, the one who had led purges and conquests without flinching, was blushing, profusely, in front of her subordinates. Kai leaned back in his seat, a grin splitting his rugged face. He was no stranger to danger, tall, with tousled dark hair and eyes that sparkled with mischief. He'd flown through black holes and outmaneuvered pirate fleets. But this was new, flirting with the enemy general mid-battle. It was insane, reckless, and utterly human. Lyra's composure shattered like fragile crystal. What did you just say?" she stammered, her voice losing its thunderous edge, replaced by a mix of indignation and something softer, more vulnerable. Her hands clenched the armrests of her command throne, the holographic displays around her flickering as if mirroring her inner turmoil. The crew whispered among themselves, their loyalty unwavering but their curiosity piqued. No one had ever dared speak to her like that, not her rivals, not her lovers from distant worlds, and certainly not a lowly human pilot from a backwater planet like Earth. Kai pressed his advantage, weaving his ship through the enemy formation like a needle through silk. "You heard me, General. That little pout you do when you're mad? Adorable. Makes me wonder what else gets under that icy exterior of yours." His words were bold, laced with genuine amusement, but beneath it all was a calculated ploy. Humans had learned long ago that wars weren't won with weapons alone. Sometimes, a well-timed quip could disarm an opponent more effectively than a plasma torpedo. The Zerathian fleet faltered. Orders from the bridge came slower, hesitant. Lyra's blush deepened, her pointed ears flattening slightly against her head in a telltale sign of embarrassment her species couldn't hide. She slammed a fist on her console, trying to regain control. "All ships, focus fire on that insolent fool, erase him from existence." But the damage was done. Kai's squadron, sensing the momentary disarray, surged forward. Explosions bloomed in the void as human fighters exploited gaps in the enemy lines. Kai's heart raced, not just from the adrenaline of combat, but from the thrill of seeing her really react, in the chaos of laser blasts and evasive maneuvers. He caught another glimpse of her on the screen, her lips parted in surprise, her violet eyes wide, a flicker of intrigue mixing with her rage. As his ship banked hard to avoid a missile lock, Kai wondered if this was the start of something bigger than a battle. Zerathia, with its ancient spires and crystal cities floating in the ether, had long viewed humans as inferior pests. But here he was, a mere pilot, making their indomitable general question everything with a single, teasing line. The stars blurred around him, and in that moment, the galaxy felt a little smaller, a little more intimate. The battle raged on, ships twisting in deadly dances, shields flaring like fireworks. Kai's asterisk Eclipse Runner asterisk took a glancing hit, sparks flying across his dashboard, but he held steady. "Come on, Lyra," he muttered to himself, patching the comms again. "Show me what you've got when you're not all flustered." Her response crackled through. Sharper now, but with an undercurrent he couldn't ignore: curiosity, perhaps even attraction. "You dare mock me, human. I will personally drag you from your wreckage and make you kneel before Zerathia's throne." Kai laughed outright, the sound echoing in his cockpit. "Promise? Sounds like a date." His words sent another ripple through her crew, murmurs turning to outright gasps. Lyra's face, still tinged with that betraying blush, hardened into determination, but her eyes, her eyes told a different story. They lingered on his image a fraction too long, tracing the lines of his confident smile. In the heart of the fray, as debris from destroyed drones spun lazily into the abyss, Kai executed a daring loop, coming up behind a Zerathian cruiser. His torpedoes found their mark, the explosion lighting up the void like a new star. Cheers erupted from his squadron's channel, but Kai's mind was elsewhere on her. The fierce general who commanded legions, yet crumbled under a simple compliment wrapped in Tease. The Zerathian armada regrouped, their formation tightening like a noose. Lyra's voice boomed once more, but this time it carried a personal edge. "You think your words can save you? Zerathia bows to no one, least of all a charming rogue like you." Charming? Kai's grin widened. That was progress. As the battle intensified, with human ingenuity clashing against alien might, he felt the shift. This wasn't just a fight for survival anymore, it was the opening chapter of an interstellar romance, where a human's wit could melt the heart of a star-conquering general. Hours blurred into a symphony of chaos. Kai's ship danced through the storm, his fingers flying over controls, evading death by inches. He pictured her on that bridge, her white hair flowing as she paced, her gowned armor accentuating every curve. Those small, elfin ears perked in frustration. What would it be like to see her up close? To trace that blush with his fingertips? A massive energy beam from her flagship grazed his wing, sending alarms blaring. "Close one," he breathed, stabilizing the craft, but instead of fear, excitement coursed through him. This was HFY at its finest: humanity. Fuck yeah, turning the tables not with brute force, but with the irresistible pull of human charm. Lyra, meanwhile, stared at the tactical display, her mind racing. Who was this human? How had he pierced her defenses so effortlessly? Her crew watched her warily, but she ignored them, focusing on the lone fighter that refused to fall. Deep down, beneath layers of duty and conquest, a spark ignited, a curiosity about these strange, audacious beings from Earth. As the first wave of the battle waned, with both sides licking their wounds, Kai sent one last transmission. "See you soon, cutie, try not to miss me too much." Her only reply was silence, but in that quiet, the seeds of something profound had been sown. The war between Earth and Zerathia was far from over, but for Kai and Lyra, a different kind of conflict had just begun, one of hearts, desires, and the boundless possibilities of the cosmos. The silence stretched across the void like a taut wire, vibrating with unspoken tension. Kai eased back in his pilot's seat. The hum of the Eclipse Runner S engines, a soothing counterpoint to the adrenaline still thrumming through his veins. His squadron had pulled back to the relative safety of a nearby asteroid field, cloaked in the shadows of jagged rocks that spun lazily in the gravitational pull of a dying star. Repairs were underway, hissing sparks from welding drones mending the scorches on his hull, but Kai's mind was light years away, fixated on that holographic image of Lyra, her violet eyes flashing with a mix of fury and something he dared to hope was intrigue. On the Zerathian flagship, the Astral Dominion asterisk. The bridge was a hive of controlled chaos. Officers barked orders in their melodic, alien tongue, holographic maps pulsing with red icons marking the human positions. Lyra stood at the center, her white hair cascading over her shoulders like a silken veil, catching the soft glow of the overhead lights. Her armor, crafted from a shimmering alloy that hugged her lithe, curvaceous form, whispered against her skin with every movement. The elegant cutouts along her sides and collarbone exposing just enough pale, flawless flesh to remind everyone of her dual nature, warrior and enigma. Those small, pointed ears, reminiscent of ancient Earth myths about elves, quivered slightly. A subtle tell of her inner storm, she replayed the human's transmission in her mind, his voice smooth and teasing, wrapping around her like an invisible caress. "See you soon, cutie." The word cutie lingered, foreign yet intoxicating, stirring sensations she hadn't felt since her youth on the crystal spires of Zerathia. Her cheeks still burned faintly, a betrayal of her physiology that no amount of discipline could suppress. How dare he, a mere human, with his rugged features and defiant grin, piercing the armor she'd built over cycles of conquest. Her crew stole glances at her, their loyalty absolute but their whispers like ripples in a still pond. Had the unbreakable General Voss been? Flustered, Lyra turned sharply, her violet eyes narrowing as she addressed her second-in-command, a tall Zerathian with similar ethereal features. "Status report on the human fleet. I want their positions locked. No more games." But even as the words left her lips, she felt a pull, an inexplicable curiosity about this Kai Harlan. Intelligence briefs had painted humans as resourceful pests, but this one, he fought with a flair that bordered on artistry, his ship twisting through space like a lover's embrace. Back in the asteroid field, Kai monitored his scanners, the dim light of his cockpit casting shadows across his strong jaw and the faint stubble that spoke of days without rest. His mind wandered to her, those curves accentuated by her regal attire, the way her lips had parted in surprise. It was madness, this spark amid war, but humans thrived on madness. A soft ping alerted him to an incoming probe, Zerathian's signature. Not an attack, but a scout, he smirked, leaning forward. "Come on, Lyra, sending gifts already?" The probe darted closer, its sleek form glinting as it scanned the field. Kai could have blasted it, but instead, he let it approach, hacking its feed with a quick burst from his onboard AI. Suddenly, his view screen flickered to life, not with data, but with her. Lyra's face filled the display, closer now, her expression a mask of stern resolve that couldn't hide the subtle flush returning to her cheeks. "Human," she said, her voice a low purr through the translator. "You've amused me long enough, surrender your position, and perhaps I'll grant you an audience before your execution." Kai's pulse quickened, not from fear, but from the electric charge in her tone. He adjusted his camera, letting her see the cocky tilt of his head, the way his flight suit clung to his toned frame after the rigors of battle. An audience sounds intimate, but why wait for surrender? "We could talk now. Tell me, General, does that blush mean you're warming up to me?" She hesitated, her pointed ears twitching, and in that moment, the vast distance between them felt negligible. Lyra leaned closer to her own console, her white hair falling forward like a curtain, framing her face. The elegant straps of her armor shifted slightly, revealing a glimpse of the soft curve of her breast, a detail that sent a jolt through Kai. Was it intentional? Her species was known for their heightened senses, their ability to read micro-expressions across light years. "You presume too much?" she replied, but her voice softened, laced with a husky undertone that betrayed her. "Humans are bold, I'll grant you that, but boldness can lead to interesting encounters." The word encounters hung between them, heavy with implication. Kai felt a warmth spread through him, his imagination igniting. He pictured her not on a bridge of steel and light, but closer, her pale skin against his, those violet eyes locked on him in a different kind of intensity. "Interesting how?" he pressed, his voice dropping to a murmur, as if sharing a secret across the stars. The probe hovered nearby, a silent witness to this forbidden dialogue. Lyra's lips curved into a reluctant smile, her full mouth inviting in its subtlety. She glanced over her shoulder, ensuring her crew was occupied, before turning back. "In Zerathia, we value strength, but also passion. Your teasing awakens something I thought long dormant." Her hand absently traced the edge of her armor, fingers lingering on the exposed skin of her collarbone, a gesture that seemed almost subconscious yet charged with erotic promise. Kai swallowed hard, the suspense building like a coiling spring. Was this a trap, or the genuine pull of attraction across species lines? As they spoke, the asteroid field grew tense. Zerathian scouts inched closer, their movements cloaked, but Kai's sensors picked them up. He kept his focus on her, drawing out the conversation. "Tell me more about this passion," he urged, his eyes tracing the lines of her form on the screen. "What makes a Zerathian general tick? Is it the thrill of the chase, or something more personal?" She laughed softly, a sound like tinkling crystals, but her eyes darkened with desire. "The chase is exhilarating, human, but capture, that's where the true fire burns." Her voice wrapped around him, erotic in its cadence, evoking images of tangled limbs and whispered confessions. Kai shifted in his seat, the confines of his cockpit suddenly feeling too warm, too constricting. The erotic tension simmered, each word a brushstroke on an invisible canvas of longing. Suddenly, a shadow loomed, a Zerathian interceptor breaking formation. Closing in fast, Kai's alarms blared, snapping him back, but he didn't break the link. "Looks like company's coming. Care to call them off, or is this your way of inviting me over?" Lyra's expression shifted to one of calculated mischief, her blush fading into a predatory gleam. "Prove your worth, Kai, survive this, and perhaps I'll show you Zerathian hospitality up close." The probe's feed cut, leaving him with the echo of her words and the rush of impending danger. Kai throttled up, his ship surging forward as the interceptor fired a warning shot. He evaded with practiced ease, the chase igniting anew, but now it felt personal, laced with the erotic undercurrent of their exchange. He imagined her watching from afar, her body tense with anticipation, those elegant garments shifting with each breath. The suspense mounted. Would he escape, or fall into her grasp? Either way, the game had evolved, drawing them inexorably closer. Weaving through the asteroids, Kai's mind raced with possibilities. Her scent, he wondered if it was as exotic as her appearance, perhaps like blooming night flowers on alien worlds. The way her skin might feel under his touch, smooth and cool, warming to his human heat. The erotic fantasy fueled his maneuvers, turning evasion into a dance of seduction. The interceptor pursued relentlessly, its pilot skilled but predictable. Kai looped around a massive rock, using its gravity to slingshot back, firing a precise shot that disabled the enemy's engines without destroying it. Mercy, a human trait that might impress her. "There," he transmitted broadly, hoping she'd hear. "One less toy for you to lose. Your move, General." On the Astral Dominion *. Lyra watched the feed, her heart pounding in a rhythm unfamiliar yet thrilling. The human's audacity stirred her, awakening desires she'd suppressed for the sake of command. She bit her lip, the small gesture sending a shiver down her spine. Her crew noticed nothing, but inside, she burned with curiosity. What would it be like to have him before her, to explore the boundaries between enemy and lover? As the shadows of the asteroids lengthened, the tension between them thickened, a web of suspense and erotic promise spanning the stars. Kai repaired his ship in a hidden crevice, his thoughts drifting to her once more. The war loomed, but this personal duel of words, glances, and unspoken yearnings held him captive. Hours passed in the quiet aftermath, but the link between them hummed with potential. Lyra paced her quarters now, away from prying eyes, her armor partially unclasped for comfort. The fabric whispered against her skin, heightening her awareness of her own body. She replayed his image in her mind, strong, unyielding, with eyes that promised adventure. A soft sigh escaped her, laced with longing. In Zerathia, alliances were forged in fire, but this felt like velvet flames, seductive and consuming. Kai, meanwhile, stared at the stars, his body alive with the memory of her voice. The erotic suspense built, each moment stretching like taffy, sweet and taut. What would happen when they met face to face? The thought sent a thrill through him, blending danger with desire in a cocktail only the cosmos could brew. The fleet signals flickered, movement from the Zerathians, not an all-out assault, but a probe, perhaps an invitation. Kai smiled, powering up his engines. The game was on, and the stakes had never been higher or more intoxicating. The fleet signals intensified, a cascade of blips on Kai's dashboard that painted the asteroid field in ominous red hues. What he had dismissed as a mere probe now revealed itself as something far more calculated, a sleek Zerathian shuttle, unarmed and broadcasting a neutral frequency, slicing through the debris like a silver dagger. Kai's fingers hovered over his weapons console, hesitation warring with instinct, an invitation, or a trap wrapped in velvet. His heart hammered, not just from the lingering echo of their charged conversation, but from the raw thrill of stepping into the unknown. With a deep breath, he powered down his shields just enough to signal acceptance, guiding the Eclipse Runner toward the shuttle's docking bay. The game, indeed, was escalating, and he could almost feel her presence pulling him in like a gravitational well. As the ships connected with a soft thud, the airlock cycled, equalizing pressures in a hiss of sterilized air. Kai stepped out, his boots echoing on the polished Zerathian deck, the corridor bathed in a soft, ethereal glow that mimicked the auroras of their homeworld. No guards rushed him. Instead, a holographic guide materialized, a shimmering outline of a Zerathian attendant, beckoning him forward with a graceful wave. "The General awaits," it intoned in perfect English, its voice a neutral melody that did little to ease the knot in his stomach. Curiosity burned through him, mingling with a surge of adrenaline. What was Lyra planning? A negotiation? An interrogation? Or something infinitely more personal, born from the sparks they'd ignited across the void? The path wound deeper into the shuttle, past chambers humming with advanced tech, crystalline consoles pulsing with data streams, walls adorned with intricate murals of Zerathian conquests, depicting warriors with flowing white hair and pointed ears clashing against cosmic foes. Kai's mind raced, piecing together fragments from intelligence reports. Zerathia, a realm of floating citadels and psychic resonances, where emotions could amplify or shatter alliances. Had his teasing tapped into that? He pictured her again, those violet eyes, the curve of her hips beneath that form-fitting armor. The way her blush had humanized her in ways no battle could. Thrilling possibilities swirled. Was this the climax of their flirtation, or the prelude to his demise? The guide dissolved as double doors earized open, revealing an opulent chamber that defied the shuttle's compact exterior. It was a slice of Zerathia transported across stars, floors of polished obsidian veined with glowing quartz, walls draped in silken tapestries that shifted colors like living auroras, and in the center, a low dais with cushions arranged in an intimate circle. And there she was, General Lyra Voss, reclining with predatory grace. Her white hair unbound now, spilling over her shoulders like moonlight on snow. Her armor had been traded for a more elegant ensemble, a flowing gown of translucent fabric that clung to her sensual form, its high slits revealing the smooth expanse of her pale thighs, the neckline plunging to accentuate the swell of her breasts. Those small, elfin ears peeked through her tresses, twitching ever so slightly as her violet eyes locked onto him. No crew, no witnesses, just them, in this cocoon of luxury amid the ruins of battle. Kai's breath caught, the air thick with an exotic scent, jasmine mingled with ozone, her natural pheromone perhaps, designed to disarm or entice. "You came," she said, her voice a silken thread, dramatic in its understatement, laced with surprise that mirrored his own. She rose slowly, her movements fluid and hypnotic, closing the distance until she was mere inches away. Up close, she was even more breathtaking, her skin flawless, almost pearlescent, her lips full and inviting, curved in a smile that held equal parts challenge and invitation. Bold, as expected, but foolish, we'll see. The thrill coursed through Kai like electricity, his body responding to her proximity, the heat radiating from her, the subtle sway of her hips as she circled him appraisingly. "Couldn't resist," he replied, his tone steady despite the storm inside. "Your hospitality sounded too good to pass up, though I have to say, this beats getting vaporized." He reached out tentatively, brushing a strand of her hair, feeling its silken texture. A gesture that sent a shiver through both of them. Her eyes widened, curious and intense, as if dissecting his every motive. Lyra's hand captured his, her touch cool yet electrifying, fingers intertwining with a strength that reminded him of her warrior heritage. "Humans," she murmured, pulling him toward the dais. "So impulsive, in Zerathia, we deliberate, we strategize. But you charge in, wielding words like weapons." They sank onto the cushions, the fabric yielding softly, positioning them neatly, the intimacy amplifying every glance, every breath. The shuttle hummed around them, isolated from the fleet, a bubble of suspense where the galaxy's fate teetered. As they talked, the conversation wove through layers, dramatic revelations spilling forth. She confessed the weight of her command, the isolation of leading Zerathia's endless expansions, how his tease had cracked her facade, awakening a hunger for connection she'd long denied. Kai shared tales of Earth's resilience, the HFY spirit that turned underdogs into legends, his own losses in the stars that fueled his audacity. But beneath the words, tension built, thrilling and palpable, her leg brushing his, her gaze lingering on his lips, the air charged with unspoken desires. Curiosity drove them. What if enemies could become more? What secrets lay in the fusion of human warmth and Zerathian fire? Then, the surprise struck like a comet. A sudden jolt rocked the shuttle, alarms blaring in a cacophony of red lights. Lyra's eyes flashed wide, her pointed ears flattening as she leaped to her feet. "Intruders!" she hissed, yanking a concealed energy blade from beneath the cushions. Kai scrambled up, his sidearm drawn, heart pounding in dramatic crescendo. Through the viewport, shadows materialized, rogue pirates, opportunistic scavengers drawn by the battle's aftermath, their ramshackle ships latching onto the shuttle like parasites. The climax erupted in a whirlwind of action. The shuttle's defenses activated, but the pirates breached a side panel, pouring in with guttural roars, hulking figures from a fringe species, armored in scrap metal, wielding crude blasters. Lyra moved like a tempest, her gown swirling as she slashed through the first assailant, her blade humming with plasma energy. "Protect the core," she commanded, but it was to Kai, her voice thrilling with urgency. He fired back to back, covering her flank, their movements syncing in an improvised dance of survival. Thrilling chaos ensued. A pirate lunged at Lyra, his claws raking air as she dodged, her white hair whipping wildly. Kai tackled him, wrestling in a tangle of limbs, the scent of scorched metal filling the air. "Behind you!" he shouted, and she spun, dispatching another with graceful lethality. But the numbers swelled, 10, 12 intruders now, their leader a scarred behemoth bellowing orders. Curiosity turned to desperation. How had they slipped through? A betrayal in her fleet? Or sheer cosmic bad luck? In the heart of the fray, a surprising twist unfolded. As Kai pinned a foe, disarming him with a precise shot, Lyra faltered, a glancing blast grazing her side, tearing her gown and exposing a streak of pale skin marred by a shallow burn. She gasped, violet eyes meeting his in a moment of vulnerability that shattered the drama into raw emotion. "Kai," she whispered, the name on her lips a curious plea. He surged forward, shielding her with his body, unleashing a barrage that cleared a path. "Not on my watch," he growled, the HFY fire igniting. Together, they pushed back, her psychic resonance amplifying his shots, a surprising synergy where her mind linked briefly to his. Guiding his aim with ethereal precision, blasts echoed, bodies fell, the chamber a battlefield of smoke and sparks. The leader charged last, a mountainous brute swinging a vibro-axe. Lyra, weakened but fierce, met him head-on, her blade clashing in a shower of energy. Kai flanked, delivering a stunning blow to the knees, toppling the giant with a final thrust. Lyra ended it, the shuttle falling silent save for their ragged breaths. Panting, she turned to him, the wound on her side glistening, her gown in tatters yet somehow enhancing her allure, torn fabric clinging to her curves, revealing the elegant lines of her form. "You saved me," she said, surprise etching her features, her hand pressing to his chest, feeling his heartbeat. The thrill lingered, the climax ebbing into a curious aftermath. What did this mean for them? For the war? Kai pulled her close, his arms encircling her waist, the contact sending waves of heat through both. "We're in this together now," he murmured, his lips brushing her pointed ear, eliciting a soft gasp. The shuttle stabilized, but the real storm raged within, dramatic bonds forged in fire, thrilling possibilities unfolding, surprises waiting in the stars. As they tended her wound with a medkit from the wall, their touches lingered, exploratory and tender. Lyra's eyes held a new depth, curious about this human who had upended her world. "There's more to you than teasing," she admitted, her fingers tracing his jaw, the gesture loaded with promise. The fleet loomed outside, oblivious to the shift inside, but for Kai and Lyra, the climax had rewritten the script, enemies no longer. But something profoundly surprising, a union that could reshape galaxies. The curiosity burned brighter. What adventures awaited in this newfound alliance? The thrill pulsed on, dramatic and unending, as they plotted their next move amid the wreckage, as the medkit's healing gel sealed the burn on Lyra's side with a faint sizzle. The chamber's emergency lights dimmed back to their ambient glow, casting long shadows that danced across the scattered debris of the pirate incursion. Kai's hands lingered a moment too long on her skin, the contact sending subtle tremors through both of them, a silent acknowledgement of the bond forged in the heat of battle. She pulled back slightly, her violet eyes searching his face with a mix of gratitude and wariness, her torn gown hanging precariously, revealing more of her elegant, curvaceous form than perhaps intended. "An alliance," she echoed his words, her voice a dramatic whisper that echoed the weight of galaxies shifting. "But what of my fleet, my people? They expect victory, not this." Her pointed ears flicked nervously, a Zerathian tick that betrayed the storm brewing within her, a general torn between duty and the intoxicating pull of this human enigma. Kai helped her to her feet, his arms steady around her waist, feeling the firmness of her body against his, a closeness that heightened the drama of their predicament. The shuttle's systems hummed back to life, but outside, through the viewport, the Zerathian armada loomed like silent guardians, unaware of the chaos that had unfolded here. "We'll figure it out," he said, trying to infuse confidence into his tone, though his mind raced with the implications. Betray her fleet? Convince them of peace? Or worse, face mutiny from her own ranks? The stakes soared, each possibility a dramatic thread in a tapestry of interstellar intrigue. But as they moved to the console to assess the damage, an awkward hitch arose. Lyra's gown, already compromised, caught on a jagged piece of wreckage, tearing further with an audible rip that exposed a generous swath of her thigh. She froze, her pale cheeks flushing that familiar crimson, her hands fumbling to clutch the fabric. Kai averted his eyes instinctively, but not before a chuckle escaped him, lightening the tension with a dash of humor. "Well, that's one way to escalate negotiations," he quipped, his grin boyish despite the drama. "Here, take my jacket. It's not as fancy as Zerathian silk, but it beats a wardrobe malfunction in the middle of a peace treaty." He shrugged off his flight jacket, draping it over her shoulders with exaggerated chivalry, the oversized garment swallowing her slender frame in a comically mismatched way. Lyra, the scourge of stars, looked almost vulnerable, like a warrior queen playing dress-up in a human's rugged attire. She shot him a glare, but her lips twitched, suppressing a smile. "Your humor is as infuriating as it is timely. Human, in Zerathia, such exposure would demand a duel, or a proposal." The awkwardness hung between them like a charged nebula, heightening the drama as they both laughed softly, the sound a brief respite in the storm, but reality crashed back as the console beeped insistently, a incoming hail from her flagship, the Astral Dominion asterisk. Lyra's expression hardened, the humor fading into steely resolve. "My second-in-command," she murmured, her fingers flying over the holographic interface to delay the connection. "If they learn of this attack or of you, they'll assume treason. We must craft a story. Kai, one that buys us time." Her voice trembled with the weight of it, the drama amplifying as she paced, her borrowed jacket slipping off one shoulder, revealing the graceful curve of her neck. Kai watched, mesmerized, the awkward intimacy of the moment making his pulse race. How had he gone from teasing an enemy to conspiring with her in a shredded gown? He stepped closer, helping adjust the jacket, their hands brushing in a spark of electricity that neither acknowledged outright. "Tell them the pirates hit a scouting party," he suggested, his mind whirring with HFY improvisation. "You neutralized them, but sustained minor damage. I'll slip out before they dock for inspection." But even as he spoke, another alert flashed, scans detecting more pirate remnants closing in, opportunistic stragglers scenting weakness. The drama escalated, turning their haven into a potential tomb. Lyra's eyes widened, her pointed ears perking up as she accessed the sensors. "They're converging. If we don't act, they'll overwhelm us before my fleet can respond." She turned to him, vulnerability cracking her facade. "Kai, I can't fight like this." Her gesture to her disheveled state was both dramatic and awkwardly endearing. A general reduced to fretting over fashion in the face of doom. Kai couldn't help but snort, adding a humorous twist to the tension. "What? Afraid of giving the pirates a show? Come on, you're the fierce General Voss. I've seen you take down a brute twice your size in heels." Essentially, he grabbed a spare energy rifle from the wall cache, tossing it to her with a wink. "Besides, my jacket's got pockets. Practicality over style, right?" She caught it deftly, a reluctant laugh bubbling up, but the awkwardness lingered as she shrugged the jacket tighter, the human scent clinging to her like an unwelcome yet comforting reminder of their bizarre alliance. Together, they moved to the shuttle's armory nook, stalking up amid the debris, their proximity forcing brushes and bumps that heightened the personal drama, his elbow grazing her side, her hair tickling his arm. As the first pirate vessel latched on with a clang that reverberated through the hull, the situation turned comically chaotic. The breach alarm wailed like an overzealous opera singer, and Lyra, in her makeshift outfit, tripped over a loose cable, stumbling into Kai's arms. "This is undignified," she hissed, her blush returning full force, but there was no time for embarrassment. He steadied her, their faces inches apart. The drama peaking in that frozen second, eyes locked, breaths mingling, the universe narrowing to just them. "Undignified, but kind of fun," he teased, planting a quick, impulsive kiss on her forehead before pulling away to ready his weapon. The gesture caught her off guard, her violet eyes sparkling with surprise and a hint of delight, adding layers to the awkward tango of emotions. Blasts echoed as the pirates forced entry, their gruff voices barking in a guttural dialect. Lyra and Kai took positions behind overturned furniture, the chamber transforming into an impromptu fortress. The first intruder burst in, a lanky alien with tentacles flailing wildly, and Lyra fired. Her shot precise but her jacket sleeve catching on the trigger, causing a misfire that singed the wall instead. "Curse this human garb," she exclaimed, the awkward fumble drawing a bark of laughter from Kai even as he covered her, dropping the tentacled foe with a stun bolt. "Hey, it's multifunctional, now it's battle-tested," he joked, the humor slicing through the drama like a laser through fog. The fight intensified, pirates pouring in waves, their crude weapons clashing against Zerathian elegance. Lyra adapted quickly, her gown's remnants allowing fluid movement as she leaped over wreckage, her white hair a banner in the fray. But awkward moments piled on. One pirate slipped on spilled healing gel, sliding comically into his comrade, giving Kai an easy double takedown. Slapstick in space, who knew? Kai quipped, dodging a swing. Lyra rolled her eyes but smirked, her psychic link flaring briefly to enhance his reflexes, a dramatic surge that made him feel invincible. "Focus, you fool," she chided, but her tone held affection, heightening the emotional stakes amid the chaos. As they pushed back the horde, a larger threat emerged: the pirate captain, a hulking figure armored in mismatched plates, wielding a massive chain whip that cracked like thunder. "Surrender the shuttle, pretties," he roared, his voice a gravelly boom. Lyra stood defiant, but her jacket gaped open at the worst moment, forcing her to clutch it closed mid-standoff. The captain paused, then guffawed. "What's this, a fashion parade?" The awkward humiliation fueled her rage. She charged, blade extended from her wrist gauntlet, clashing in a dramatic whirlwind of strikes. Kai flanked, his shots glancing off the armor, the humor evaporating into pure thrill as the captain's whip ensnared Lyra's leg, yanking her off balance. Drama crested as she fell, the captain looming over her with a triumphant sneer. "Time to claim my prize," he growled. Kai's heart seized, no way he'd lose her now. With a yell, he tackled the brute, the impact jarring but effective, rolling them in a tangle of limbs. Lyra freed herself, joining the melee, her kicks precise despite the wardrobe woes. In a humorous twist, Kai grabbed a loose tentacle from an earlier foe, using it like a lasso to bind the captain's arms. Improvising with leftovers, Earth style, he panted, eliciting a genuine laugh from Lyra as she delivered the finishing blow. Her energy blade piercing the armor, panting amid the fallen foes, they shared a look, drama etched in sweat and triumph, awkwardness forgotten in the bond. But the hail from her fleet persisted. "Urgent now? We can't hide this forever," Lyra said, her voice laced with dramatic urgency as she adjusted the jacket, the fabric now battle-scarred. Kai nodded, pulling her into a quick embrace, the contact awkward yet reassuring. "One step at a time, let's spin this tale and turn the tide." As they hurried to the console, patching a response to her second-in-command, pirate ambush neutralized, returning with intel, the shuttle's engines thrummed to life. The awkward situations had woven humor into their drama, strengthening their connection. What started as a tease had evolved into a partnership fraught with peril and promise, the stars bearing witness to their unfolding saga. Yet, as they plotted evasion maneuvers, a new alert flickered, unidentified signals from the asteroid's depths, hinting at deeper conspiracies. The drama heightened, leaving them on the edge, ready for whatever cosmic curveball came next. As the unidentified signals pulsed on the console like distant heartbeats, Kai and Lyra exchanged a tense glance, the shuttle's engines vibrating beneath them with a low, reassuring rumble. The asteroid's depths held secrets, perhaps remnants of an ancient relic or a hidden pirate lair, but for now, evasion was key. Lyra's fingers danced over the holographic controls, plotting a stealthy course back to her flagship, her borrowed jacket still draped awkwardly over her shoulders, a makeshift shield against the chill of space and the vulnerability of their situation. "These signals could be a lure," she murmured, her violet eyes narrowing in concentration, the dramatic weight of conspiracy pressing down. Kai leaned in beside her, his presence a steady anchor, the scent of his human warmth mingling with the shuttle's sterile air. Their partnership, born from chaos, felt unbreakable, yet the peril loomed, urging them to act swiftly before the fleet's suspicions grew. With the response transmitted and the shuttle slipping into the shadows of the asteroid field, a fragile calm settled over them. Lyra turned from the console, her white hair disheveled from the fight, framing her face in soft waves that caught the dim light. The torn edges of her gown peeked from beneath Kai's jacket, a reminder of their shared trials, and as she met his gaze, the air thickened with unspoken longing. The drama of their escape had stripped away pretenses, leaving raw emotion in its wake. "We have a moment," she said softly, her voice a gentle caress, stepping closer until the space between them hummed with anticipation. Kai felt his breath quicken, the thrill of survival blending with a deeper pull. The way her pointed ears quivered slightly, the elegant curve of her form inviting exploration. He reached out, his hand brushing her cheek, feeling the cool smoothness of her pale skin, a contrast to his own warmth that sent a shiver through her. "Lyra," he whispered, the name tasting like a promise on his lips. She didn't pull away. Instead, her hands found his chest, fingers tracing the lines of his flight suit, igniting sparks wherever they touched. The partnership had evolved into something intimate, a connection that transcended species and war, drawing them into each other's orbit with irresistible force. As the shuttle glided through the void, isolated from the galaxy's chaos, they surrendered to the moment, their bodies drawing nearer in a dance of mutual discovery. Kai's arms encircled her waist, pulling her against him, the fabric of his jacket slipping away to reveal more of her graceful silhouette. Her lips met his in a tentative kiss that deepened quickly, fueled by the pent-up tension of battles fought and words exchanged across enemy lines. The kiss was electric, her full mouth soft and yielding, tasting faintly of exotic spices from her world, a blend of sweetness and mystery that made his head spin. Lyra's small, elfin ears flushed with color, her body pressing closer, curves molding to his frame in a way that spoke of perfect harmony. She sighed against him, her hands exploring the breadth of his shoulders, the firmness of his back, awakening sensations she'd long suppressed beneath layers of command and duty. The cushions on the dais, still scattered from the earlier fray, became their haven once more. They sank into them together, the shuttle's gentle hum a backdrop to their whispered affections. Kai's fingers trailed along her arm, savoring the pearlescent glow of her skin, while she unfastened the remnants of her gown with deliberate grace. Letting it fall away like shedding an old skin, beneath, her form was a vision of ethereal beauty, lithe and inviting, with subtle contours that begged to be cherished. He marveled at her, his touch reverent, exploring the sensitive spots that made her gasp softly, her violet eyes darkening with desire. "You're incredible," he murmured, his voice husky, as he kissed along her neck. Feeling her pulse race beneath his lips, Lyra responded with equal fervor, her hands guiding his, showing him the rhythms of her world, gentle pressures and lingering caresses that built a symphony of pleasure. The awkward humor of moments before faded into this profound intimacy, where every touch heightened their bond. She arched against him, her white hair spilling across the cushions like a halo, her body responding to his warmth with a fervor that surprised even her. In Zerathia, connections were often strategic, but this was pure, unfiltered passion, a human's bold affection melting her icy reserve. Kai's kisses trailed lower, worshipping the elegant lines of her figure, eliciting soft moans that echoed in the confined space, blending with the distant alerts that they ignored for now. As they moved together, the experience was a blend of tenderness and intensity, their bodies finding a natural rhythm that transcended words. Lyra's legs wrapped around him, drawing him closer, her pointed ears twitching with each wave of sensation, her pale skin flushing with a warmth that matched his. The shuttle's viewport framed the stars outside, a cosmic audience to their union, where peril and promise intertwined. Kai held her gaze, violet meeting his own, the depth of emotion in her eyes mirroring his trust, desire, and a hint of wonder at this forbidden bliss. Their movements grew more urgent, building to a crescendo of shared ecstasy, where boundaries blurred and they became one, lost in the throes of connection. In the aftermath, they lay entwined, breath sinking in quiet harmony, the shuttle systems beeping softly as if respecting their reprieve. Lyra traced patterns on his chest, her fingers light and exploratory, a smile playing on her lips. "Humans," she teased gently, her voice laced with contentment, "you turn even the stars into a backdrop for romance." Kai chuckled, pulling her closer, his hand resting on the curve of her hip. The intimacy had sealed their alliance, infusing it with a personal stake that made the conspiracies outside feel surmountable. But as the signals from the asteroid persisted, flickering on the console, the reality of their situation crept back, urging them forward. Lyra sat up slowly, her form still aglow with the aftereffects, reaching for the discarded jacket to drape over herself once more. "We can't linger," she said, though her eyes held a reluctance, the drama of their escape now laced with this newfound depth. Kai nodded, helping her, their touches lingering with affection. Together, they returned to the controls, plotting their next move amid the unidentified threats. The experience had transformed them, enemies turned lovers, ready to face the galaxy's twists with united strength. Yet, the signals grew stronger, hinting at revelations that could shatter everything, pulling them back into the fray with renewed vigor. As the shuttle emerged from the shadows, Lyra's hand found Kai's, a silent vow amid the stars. The intimacy they'd shared wasn't just a fleeting escape, it was the foundation of something greater. A bond that could redefine alliances and wars, but the alerts escalated, drawing them toward the asteroid's core, where secrets awaited, perhaps allies, or greater dangers. The passion lingered in their every glance, fueling their resolve as they dove deeper into the unknown. The shuttle's sensors painted a clearer picture. The signals emanated from a derelict structure buried in the rock, ancient and pulsating with energy. Lyra's expression shifted to one of intrigue, her post-intimacy glow giving way to strategic focus. This could be a relic from the old wars, she speculated, her voice steady. Kai squeezed her hand, the touch a reminder of their closeness. Whatever it is, we'll handle it together. Their union had armed them with more than weapons, it had given them trust, turning the drama into a shared adventure. Navigating closer, the structure revealed itself, a massive, crystalline vault, half embedded in the asteroid, its surface etched with symbols akin to Zerathian runes. Lyra's eyes widened, recognition dawning. This is no coincidence. My people lost such artifacts eons ago, power sources that could tip the balance of power. The intimacy of moments before now amplified the stakes. If this fell into wrong hands, their budding alliance could crumble. Kai activated the docking sequence, his mind racing with possibilities, the thrill of discovery mingling with the warmth of her presence beside him. As they prepared to board, suited up in emergency gear, Lyra in a spare Zerathian suit that hugged her form elegantly. Kai in his familiar flight attire, the airlock cycled. The passion they'd shared hung between them like an invisible thread, strengthening their steps into the unknown. Inside the vault, dim lights flickered to life, revealing chambers filled with glowing orbs and holographic archives. But as they delved deeper, a holographic guardian materialized, a spectral Zerathian figure, its voice booming. "Intruders, state your claim." Lyra stepped forward, her posture regal, but Kai noticed the subtle tremble in her hand, a vulnerability only he knew now. "I am General Lyra Voss of Zerathia. This vault belongs to my lineage." The guardian scanned her, its eyes narrowing. Lineage confirmed, but the human, an anomaly. Drama unfolded as it initiated a test, a psychic probe that linked their minds, forcing them to relive moments of their connection, from the initial tease to the intimate embrace. The experience was intense, sensations replaying in vivid detail, heightening their bond even as it judged them. Passing the test, the vault unlocked its secrets, blueprints for advanced tech that could end the war peacefully. But as they downloaded the data, shadows stirred, lingering pirates or perhaps spies from her fleet. The intimacy fueled their defense, movements in sync, touches lingering protectively. Escaping with the prize, they raced back to the shuttle, the galaxy's fate in their hands. The passion had not only united them personally but empowered their quest, turning whispers of desire into roars of triumph. As they set course for the flagship, Lyra leaned against Kai, her head on his shoulder. "What we've shared, it's changed everything." He kissed her temple, the gesture tender, the stars blurred past, carrying them toward resolutions laced with love and legacy. The stars continued to streak by in hypnotic patterns, a silent testament to the vastness they traversed. But inside the shuttle, the world had narrowed to the warmth of Lyra's body against Kai's, her head resting on his shoulder like an anchor in the storm. The tenderness of his kiss on her temple lingered, a gentle seal on the profound shift between them, where passion had woven their fates into a single thread. "Changed everything," she echoed her own words softly, her voice a melodic hum that vibrated through him, her pointed ears brushing his cheek in a way that sent subtle aftershocks of their intimacy rippling across his skin. Kai wrapped an arm around her, drawing her closer, the shuttle's autopilot guiding them steadily toward the Astral Dominion asterisk, her flagship that loomed in the distance like a distant promise or a looming threat. The data from the vault pulsed on the console, a trove of ancient Zerathian secrets that could broker peace, end the war, and redefine alliances across the Andromeda Cluster. Yet, in this quiet interlude, the galaxy's grand designs felt secondary to the simple rhythm of their breathing. Synced in the aftermath of their union, Lyra shifted slightly, her pale hand resting on his thigh, fingers tracing idle patterns that spoke of contentment and lingering desire. "In all my cycles of command," she murmured, her violet eyes gazing out at the stars. "I've never felt this vulnerability. It's as if you've unlocked a chamber within me I didn't know existed." Kai smiled, his free hand covering hers, feeling the cool elegance of her skin against his calloused palm, a contrast that had become intoxicating. "That's the human magic," he replied lightly, though his tone carried the weight of truth. "We dive headfirst into the unknown, and sometimes we pull miracles out of the chaos." The shuttle's hum grew softer as they approached the flagship's docking perimeter, automated systems exchanging protocols in a seamless ballet of technology. But beneath the calm, Kai sensed an undercurrent, a faint unease in Lyra's posture, her body tensing ever so slightly as if bracing for impact, as the docking clamps engaged with a soft thud, sealing the shuttle to the massive hull of the Astral Dominion asterisk. Lyra straightened, her general's mask slipping back into place. She adjusted the spare suit she donned, a sleek Zerathian ensemble that hugged her curves with functional grace, though it couldn't erase the memory of her bare form from Kai's mind. "My crew will have questions," she said, her voice regaining its authoritative edge, though softened by their shared secrets. "We'll present the relic data as a captured asset from the pirates. You'll need to stay hidden until I can vouch for you." Kai nodded, rising with her, the plan solidifying in his thoughts. He'd slip into the maintenance corridors, a ghost in the machine, while she rallied her officers. It was risky, but after what they'd endured and shared, risk felt like an old friend. The airlock cycled open, releasing them into the flagship's pristine corridors, where the air carried the faint scent of crystal-infused recyclers, a hallmark of Zerathian engineering. Lyra led the way, her white hair swaying with each confident step, Kai following close behind, his senses on high alert. The halls were quiet, the crew likely at stations amid the post-battle lull. But as they approached the bridge access lift, a subtle anomaly caught Kai's eye, a flicker in the lighting, a shadow that didn't belong. Before he could voice it, the lift doors parted, revealing not the empty carriage he'd expected, but a figure standing in the dim interior, tall, ethereal, with white hair bound in a severe braid and violet eyes that mirrored Lyra's, yet burned with cold calculation. Lyra halted abruptly, her body going rigid. "Zara," she breathed, the name escaping like a curse wrapped in surprise. The woman Zara stepped forward, her form clad in a similar elegant armor, though hers bore the insignia of high command, adorned with subtle emblems of lineage that Kai didn't recognize. Her pointed ears were adorned with crystalline studs, glinting like stars, and her pale skin held an almost predatory sheen. "Sister," Zara replied, her voice a silken blade, laced with a familiarity that twisted the air into knots. Kai's mind reeled, the powerful twist slamming into him like a hyperspace jump. Sister? Lyra had never mentioned kin, let alone one lurking in the shadows of her own flagship. The resemblance was uncanny now that he saw it, the same graceful build, the flowing hair, the piercing gaze, but where Lyra's eyes held warmth forged in their intimacy, Zara's were voids of ambition. Lyra's hand instinctively reached back, brushing Kai's in a fleeting warning, stay silent, stay hidden, but Zara's gaze flicked to him, sharp as a laser sight. "And who is this human pet you've brought aboard?" she asked, her tone dripping with disdain, though curiosity flickered beneath. The lift doors sealed behind them, trapping the trio in the confined space as it ascended toward the bridge. Kai's heart pounded, the surprise coiling tighter. This wasn't just a family reunion, it reeked of conspiracy. Lyra composed herself, stepping forward to shield him subtly. "A prisoner from the skirmish?" she lied smoothly, her voice steady despite the undercurrent of shock. "He possesses valuable intel on Earth Federation movements. I'll interrogate him personally." Zara's lips curved into a smile that didn't reach her eyes, a predatory expression that heightened the tension. "How convenient," she murmured, circling them slowly in the lift's limited space, her elegant gown whispering against the floor. "Especially after that pirate ambush you so heroically neutralized." Alone, the word hung heavy, laced with accusation. Kai pieced it together in flashes, the unidentified signals from the asteroid, the timely pirate attack, Zara's sudden appearance. Had she orchestrated it? A sibling rivalry turned sabotage. The lift hummed upward, each second stretching the surprise into a web of intrigue. Lyra's pointed ears flattened slightly, a tell Kai now recognized as distress. "What are you implying, Zara? You've been away on diplomatic missions for cycles. Why return now? Zara laughed softly, a sound like shattering ice, stopping inches from Kai, up close. Her scent was similar to Lyra's, exotic and ozone-tinged, but sharper, more invasive. Implying, dear sister, I'm stating facts, our lineage demands purity and command. You've grown soft, consorting with inferiors. Her gaze raked over Kai, dismissive yet probing, as if assessing a specimen. The twist deepened. Zara wasn't just family. She was a rival claimant to Zerathia's throne, hidden in the shadows, waiting for Lyra's stumble. Intelligence briefs on Zerathia flashed in Kai's memory, whispers of internal fractures, but nothing about a sister. Lyra had kept this buried, perhaps for protection or shame. The relic you captured. Zara continued, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. It's no coincidence. I traced its signal. It belongs to our bloodline, power that could unseat you. Elevate me. The lift dinged, doors opening to the bridge. But the drama held them captive a moment longer. Lyra's hand clenched at her side, violet eyes blazing. You sent the pirates, she accused. The realization dawning like a supernova, Zara's smile widened, confirming without words. To test you, sister, and look, you failed spectacularly, entangled with this human. She gestured dismissively at Kai, but her eyes lingered, a flicker of intrigue betraying her scorn. The surprise rippled through Kai. He'd been a pawn in a familial power play, yet his connection with Lyra had unwittingly appended it. The bridge crew turned, sensing the tension, their stoic faces cracking with confusion as Zara strode out, commanding attention. Officers, she announced, her voice resonating with authority. General Voss has been compromised. I assume command under lineage protocols. Chaos erupted subtly, whispers among the crew, holographic displays flickering as access codes shifted. Lyra grabbed Kai's arm, pulling him aside amid the confusion. We have to move, she hissed, her face pale with betrayal's sting. The relic data, it's the key, if she gets it. But Zara's voice cut through, ordering security drones to converge. Kai's mind raced, the twist propelling them into action. This wasn't just war between species, it was a civil strife, with him at the heart. He activated a hidden comms jammer from his suit, buying seconds. Your sister? Really? He whispered, injecting a touch of his trademark humor to steady her, though the surprise still thrummed. Lyra's eyes met his, pain and determination mingling. Exiled for ambition, I thought her gone forever. They ducked into a side corridor as drones whirred past, the flagship transforming from sanctuary to labyrinth. The powerful revelation reshaped everything, their intimacy now a weapon against internal foes, their alliance a beacon in the storm. Zara's betrayal explained the fleet's hesitations. The pirate incursions, she'd been pulling strings from afar, using the human conflict as cover. As they navigated the vents, Kai hacked a service panel, overriding locks with Earth tech. We'll expose her, he vowed, their hands linking in the dim light. Deeper into the ship, they accessed a secure vault, uploading the relic data to broadcast channels. But Zara anticipated, her forces closing in. A confrontation loomed in the engineering core, where massive crystals pulsed with energy. Zara awaited, flanked by loyalists. Surrender the data, sister, she demanded, her elegant form poised for battle. Lyra stood firm, blade extended. You've underestimated us. The clash began, energy blades singing, shots firing in controlled bursts. Kai flanked, his human ingenuity disrupting drones with improvised EMPs. In the melee's height, another layer unfolded. Zara revealed a psychic link, mirroring Lyra's abilities, but twisted. She probed Kai's mind, unearthing memories of their passion, using it to taunt. How quaint your human lover, does he know our bloodline's secret? That bonding with outsiders dilutes our power. Lyra faltered, the surprise hitting home. Kai pressed on, shielding her. Doesn't matter, we're stronger together. He disrupted the link with a feedback loop, turning Zara's weapon against her. The core overloaded briefly, lights strobing. Zara retreated, wounded but vowing return. Lyra and Kai escaped to a shuttle bay, launching amid pursuit. The twist had shattered illusions, but fortified their bond. As they fled toward Earthlines, Lyra confessed, Zara's right, our union could weaken my psychic gifts, but it strengthens my heart. Kai kissed her, the stars welcoming them. The surprise had redefined their path, turning personal betrayal into galactic opportunity. Yet, as they hyperspaced away, a final whisper from Zara's comms echoed, This isn't over, sister. The relic holds more secrets, ones that could destroy you both. The powerful twist lingered, propelling them into uncharted territories, where love and legacy intertwined with treachery. The hyperspace tunnel enveloped them in a kaleidoscope of swirling lights, mesmerizing blur that masked the raw velocity propelling the shuttle toward Earth Federation lines. But Zara's parting words echoed in the confines like a ghost in the machine. "This isn't over, sister. The relic holds more secrets, ones that could destroy you both." Lyra pulled away from Kai's kiss with a reluctant sigh, her violet eyes clouded with the storm of betrayal. Her white hair still tousled from the chaos aboard the flagship. The confession hung between them, heavy with implications. Their union, as beautiful as it was, carried a hidden cost, diluting her psychic gifts in ways that could tip the scales in this interstellar chess game. Kai cupped her face gently, his thumb tracing the elegant line of her jaw, feeling the subtle tremor beneath her pale skin. "Hey, weakened powers or not, you're still the most formidable force I've ever tangled with," he said, his voice a blend of reassurance and that irrepressible human optimism. But even as he spoke, the shuttle's console flickered erratically, hyperspace anomalies spiking on the sensors. Zara's doing, perhaps, or the relic's data interacting unpredictably with the drive. Lyra leaned into his touch for a moment longer, her pointed ears flattening slightly in a mix of affection and frustration. Before she straightened, her general's instincts kicking in. "We can't afford sentiment right now," she murmured, though her fingers lingered on his chest, betraying the pull she felt. She moved to the controls, her spare suit shifting with each step, hugging her curvaceous form in a way that distracted Kai despite the mounting drama. The relic's data stream pulsed on a side display, ancient Zerathian algorithms unraveling secrets that could broker peace or unleash havoc if Zara intercepted them. As Lyra initiated a diagnostic scan, the shuttle lurched unexpectedly, a gravitational eddy yanking them out of hyperspace prematurely, spitting them into the fringes of a nebula cloud where ionized gases swirled like angry spirits. Alarms blared, red lights bathing the cockpit in an ominous glow, heightening the drama as stars re-emerged in jagged clarity. "Shields at 70%, Lyra announced, her voice tense, hands flying over the holographics. That wasn't natural. Zara must have embedded a tracker in the flagship systems. She's forcing our hand." Kai jumped to the co-pilot seat, his human reflexes syncing with her movements, but as he buckled in, his elbow accidentally triggered a secondary panel, deploying an emergency ration dispenser that spewed foil-wrapped protein bars across the floor like confetti at a disastrous party. One bounced off Lyra's knee, rolling under her seat, and she shot him a withering look, her cheeks flushing that telltale crimson. "Your timing for clumsiness is impeccable," she said dryly, though a reluctant smile tugged at her lips, adding a spark of humor to the escalating tension. Kai grinned sheepishly, scooping up a bar and tossing it to her. "Hey, nothing says romantic escape like snacks on the run. Consider it fuel for the drama." The awkward fumble lightened the air just enough, but reality crashed back as sensors pinged incoming vessels, Zara's pursuit squad. Sleek Zerathian interceptors slicing through the nebula like predators in fog. The drama intensified as the lead interceptor hailed them, Zara's holographic image materializing on the view screen, her braided white hair immaculate, violet eyes gleaming with triumphant malice. "Running to your human allies, sister, how predictable. Surrender the relic, and I'll make your end swift, perhaps even merciful for your pet." Her gaze flicked to Kai, laced with disdain, but there was an undercurrent of jealousy that twisted the knife deeper. Lyra's hands clenched the controls, her psychic aura flickering weakly, a side effect of their bonding that she hadn't fully disclosed. "You'll have to catch us first," she retorted, her voice a steel blade, but Kai noticed the subtle strain, the way her pointed ears quivered more than usual. He reached over, squeezing her shoulder supportively, but in his haste, his hand slipped lower, brushing the curve of her hip in an unintentionally intimate gesture that made her jolt, her flush deepening. "Kai," she hissed under her breath, the awkward intimacy clashing with the high-stakes pursuit, eliciting a muffled chuckle from him. "Sorry, wrong gear, blame the adrenaline." Zara's image smirked, sensing the discord. "How touching. Your diluted powers make you sloppy. Lyra, the relic's secrets confirm it, our bloodline's purity demands isolation. Your dalliance weakens you, just as I planned." The words struck like a plasma bolt, heightening the emotional drama. Lyra's eyes flashed with pain, the betrayal cutting deeper than any wound. But Kai leaned in, whispering fiercely, "She's wrong, we're not a weakness, we're your upgrade." He initiated evasive maneuvers, the shuttle banking sharply through the nebula's dense pockets, gas clouds exploding in bursts of color as they grazed the hull. The interceptors closed in, laser fire streaking past, one grazing their shields in a shower of sparks that rattled the cabin. Lyra countered with a burst from the rear turrets, her shots precise despite the psychic drain, but another lurch sent them tumbling, and in the chaos, Kai's seat restraint malfunctioned, flinging him sideways into her lap. The awkward situation peaked in that frozen second. Kai sprawled across her, face inches from her chest, the shuttle spinning wildly as alarms wailed. "Not the time for lap-sitting," Lyra exclaimed, half laughing, half exasperated, shoving him back upright with surprising strength, her hands lingering on his arms a beat too long. Kai righted himself, face red but grinning. "Hey, if we're going down, at least it's in style. Your lap's comfier than the ejection pod." The humor sliced through the tension, grounding them as Lyra stabilized the craft, her laughter bubbling up despite everything, a rare, melodic sound that fueled Kai's determination. They dove into a denser cloud bank, using the interference to mask their signature, but Zara's voice crackled through again. "You can't hide forever. The relic's data, it's not just tech, it's a genetic key, one that exposes our family's hidden flaws. Father banished me for discovering it, but now I'll use it to claim what's mine." The revelation amped the drama, Lyra's face paling as fragments of suppressed memories surfaced, childhood rivalries, their father's stern decrees, Zara's exile not for ambition alone, but for unearthing a bloodline curse that amplified psychic powers at the cost of emotional bonds. "She's twisting it," Lyra whispered, her voice breaking slightly, the awkward vulnerability exposing her in ways battles never could. Kai pulled her into a quick hug, the shuttle's auto-evasion buying them moments. "Then we untwist it, together," but the interceptors reformed, flanking them, forcing a desperate gambit. Lyra channeled her remaining psychic energy into a resonance burst, disrupting their pursuers' comms, but the effort drained her, leaving her slumped against Kai, her body trembling. I can't hold it," she admitted, the admission awkward in its raw honesty, a general reduced to leaning on her lover mid-chase. Kai took the controls fully, his HFY spirit igniting. "I've got you. Time for some Earth-style crazy." He executed a slingshot around a rogue asteroid fragment hidden in the nebula, the G-forces pressing them back, but in the maneuver, a loose panel popped open, dumping maintenance tools across the floor, wrenches clattering like comedic props in a farce. One skittered under Lyra's foot as she tried to assist, causing her to slip sideways, her elegant form tumbling into an undignified heap. "This ship is conspiring against us," she groaned, but Kai's laughter echoed, pulling her up with one hand while steering with the other. "Or it's got a sense of humor. Look, it's working." The slingshot flung them ahead, the interceptors colliding in the confusion, explosions blooming behind like fireworks. Zara's hologram flickered back, distorted but furious. "You think this ends here? The Federation will turn on you when they learn the relic's truth. It's a weapon against all non-Zerathians." The threat heightened the stakes, drama coiling like a spring as the shuttle broke free of the nebula, Earth outposts twinkling on the horizon. Lyra rallied, her hand finding Kai's amid the debris. "We'll face it," she vowed, though her weakened state added an awkward layer, relying on him more than ever, her pride chafing against the necessity. Kai squeezed back. "Yeah, come on over. We've got better snacks here anyway." The quip, light amid the heaviness, drew chuckles from the crew, diffusing tension and underscoring humanity's unique blend of humor and heroism. In the end, Zara relented, not through force, but fracture. Her ship powered down weapons, surrendering to arbitration, her ambition thwarted by the very secrets she sought to wield. Trials would follow, but for now, peace accords bloomed. Zerathia and Earth forging pacts that integrated technologies and cultures. Lyra's powers stabilized at a new equilibrium, enhanced not by purity but by the emotional depth her bond with Kai provided, a HFY triumph where love conquered legacy. Months later, on a tranquil world bridging their realms, a colony where crystal spires met earthy forests, Lyra and Kai stood hand in hand, watching dual suns set in a blaze of colors. Her gown flowed elegantly, accentuating her form, while he wore a hybrid uniform blending human ruggedness with Zerathian flair. From a tease in battle to this, Kai mused, pulling her close. "Who knew you're so cute when you're angry would change the galaxy?" Lyra laughed, her violet eyes sparkling, leaning in for a kiss that promised forever. "You did, my bold human, and I wouldn't have it any other way." Their story became legend, whispered across stars, the general and the pilot who melted empires with wit, passion, and unyielding heart. In the vast cosmos, where threats still lurked. Their union stood as a beacon, proof that even in the face of betrayal and war, connection could prevail. As night fell, enveloping them in starlit embrace, the galaxy felt a little less vast, a little more hopeful, and in that quiet victory, humanity's spirit shone brightest. Fuck yeah, the peace held, treaties signed in grand ceremonies where Zerathian crystals hummed in harmony with human orchestras. Lyra adapted to her evolved abilities, discovering new strengths in empathy and intuition, guiding joint explorations into uncharted sectors. Kai, ever the adventurer, led mixed crews on missions that blended daring with diplomacy, his teasing charm disarming potential foes before conflicts arose. Together, they navigated the awkward integrations, cultural mishaps like Zerathians misunderstanding human sarcasm, or humans fumbling psychic etiquettes, but each stumble strengthened the alliance, turning differences into delights. Zara, in exile on a remote moon, reflected on her choices, her broadcasts silenced but her spirit perhaps softened by time. Whispers suggested redemption arcs, but for now, she watched from afar, a cautionary tale in the annals of history. The relic's full secrets unfolded gradually, revealing not weapons, but gateways to shared evolution, genetic harmonies that allowed cross-species bonds without loss. Affirming Lyra and Kai's path as the right one, in quieter times, they retreated to their haven, bodies entwining under alien skies, exploring the depths of their connection with tender urgency. Lyra's skin against his, her moans like melodic symphonies, their rhythms a dance of equals. It was in these moments that the story truly ended, or rather, continued eternally, a testament to love's power in the stars. As children of both worlds grew, hearing tales of the teasing pilot and the blushing general, the legacy endured. Humanity, with its audacious heart, had not just survived but thrived, weaving threads of romance through the fabric of the universe, and in every blush, every laugh, every shared glance across crowded bridges or quiet nights, Kai and Lyra lived there happily ever after, a good ending that promised endless beginnings. And so, in the glow of those dual suns, Kai and Lyra's legacy inspired generations, proving that love could conquer even the stars. Their story became a beacon of hope across the galaxies, where humanity's bold spirit and Zerathian grace intertwined forever. As the storyteller, I personally love how this tale blends epic sci-fi with heartfelt romance. It reminds us that true strength comes from connection, not isolation. What do you think? Could humanity really charm an alien empire? Share your thoughts below. Thank you all for watching. Your likes, subs, comments, and shares are our biggest motivation to create even better stories. Hit that button and join the adventure.